All right, here we go. Mack Rhoades, Baylor Director of Athletics, and news and my sources saying that, Paul, the three deer in the back of the beautiful, beautiful view in New Mexico, all of them, Smokey, Paul, and Craig, are still wandering around and alive.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yes, they are, and happily so.
All right, I got a couple of questions about the way college sports and athletics are these days. Have you yet seen any signs at Baylor, or others have spoken to you who are in your position, where the NIL money has affected what you need yourself in raising money for facilities?
Yeah, that's a great question. I certainly think they're in conflict with one another. It's a difficult task to do both, and also invest in other areas of the program, whether that's salaries, travel, foreign tours, all of those things require resources, money, support, and then, having to, find ways to raise money for both facilities and name, image, and likeness makes it difficult. And, we're probably one of the only institutions in the country that's, doing all of that. So, it's been a challenge, but, I think we're navigating it. And, as I told our staff and, our coaches, everyone, this is a 10-round heavyweight fight, and we're going to take some body blows early on, but I think we're getting through it, and we're getting through it because we, have, great people. We have, an unbelievable Baylor family when we think about donors and support system. And we're never going to be a place that is going to be able to, spend dollar for dollar with what others can. And so, we've got to make sure that we differentiate ourselves and that, the money that we do spend, the resources that we do have, that we're really, really strategic with, that we're very, very efficient and smart with. So that's what we're trying to do. I hope that answered your question.
No, it does. And then the part about the NIL, I think a lot of people thought after the first year, maybe a year and a half, there would be some sort of market correction. I don't get the feeling that's happened yet, has it?
that feeling that you have is absolutely correct. And, I think, all of us want there to be a correction, and I think all of us are hoping there's a correction. And when I say all of us, I think, I'm even speaking on behalf of schools that, have these, tremendous donor bases and, are primarily just focused on name, image, and likeness, and have, these coffers of sums of money when you think about name, image, and likeness. I don't think anybody likes it or is enjoying it. I think we're going to have coaches, if things don't correct themselves, I think we're going to have coaches in the future that are going to get out. Those that have been in it long enough, that have been able to save some money. I think you're going to see some of them get out because it's just not what anybody signed up for. And right now, in this moment that we are speaking, I think it's exploded when you think about name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal. Over 1,300 in the portal for men's basketball, and right now we literally have a pay for play system, and we can dance around it, but that is what we're doing right now, and I don't think anybody particularly cares for it.
Mack, it's everything takes re-education of people and learning to do new things, and at the administrative level, as long as I guess people are open to bending, that's probably easier. But you really don't have any control over the student athletes and potential student athletes when it comes to learning about this stuff, right? Is that what makes it maybe even harder, is that you're going to have to deal with someone who has ridiculous expectations, and maybe more of those than ones who just know, like, all right, well, if I play well, then something's gonna happen for me, or if I'm here, then I trust in the process of it to work out down the line.
Yeah, I think that's, Paul, part of the challenge is, what's not everything that is said out there when it comes to the name, image, and likeness is reality, and trying to decipher what's true, what's not true. And, you have people calling that say, hey, school XYZ, right, has offered, this much. And then, another phone call that this other school's, offered this much. And, I'm just, being truthful and real half the time, 50% of the time, and I think I'm being generous when I say 50% of the time, that's the truth and that's accurate. And, so you just have, unfortunately, this system where everybody's trying to exploit it, and then, trying to educate student athletes, trying to make sure they're with the right agents, with the right people, getting the right advice, talking to the right people, talking to the right coaches. It's a lot to navigate right now. And so, again, we're dealing with it, I think, in a really good way, positive way. And reality, if you're not in it, if you're not, in this name, image, and likeness space, it's going to be really hard to field competitive rosters. But as I've said before, we're going to stay true to who we are and our value system, and we're gonna have to be really, really smart and strategic on how we do it.
All right, the transfer portal dates for the month for the spring, like a week ago, I guess it was, I don't know, but they changed from what was May 1st to May 15th to April 15th to April 30th. Your football team has a game like right there on the beginning of that transfer portal start time. Does that put like even more stress on not just Baylor, but anybody else? And why would they have made that change so late, or am I missing when they changed it?
Yeah, and I appreciate the question, and I wish I could do a better job in terms of answering your question with the dates, because just sitting on the football oversight committee, there's been a lot of dates that have been thrown out. Mm-hmm. When the dates were put in place, I think, it was, giving student athletes an opportunity to move on, to transfer if for some reason things didn't work out the way, they wanted to work out, in spring ball, spring practice, giving them the opportunity to move on. And I think it's really hard. It's, does it put pressure on coaches, and how they manage it. And again, I go back to Baylor and how we're handling it, and Dave Randa, and there's that example last year when it came back down to the quarterbacks Blake and Gary and how he handled it. And look, bottom line, very simplistic, just do the right thing. Do the right thing for the right reasons. When you think about how you handle spring ball, how you handle your student athletes, the conversations that you have with them, be real, be honest, and sometimes it feels like when you do that, it's to your disadvantage. But I just got to believe that in the long run, it will be to our advantage.
Mack Rhoades, Baylor Director of Athletics, with us on 365 Sports.
So Brett Yormark did a podcast yesterday with the Turnkey, and one of the things he brought up, Mac, was a concert series coming through. And look, in Waco, that would be something that would make me deliriously happy that we had that. Is that something that we're going to see more of with the new arena and things coming through here in Central Texas?
Yeah, that's his vision and the vision of some other staff members. But again, this idea, this intersection of culture and college sports, and so open it up with this concert series, and this first year will be the 4 new schools, and then doing something different halftime for the football championship game. And so I think you'll see more of it. You'll see eventually as it makes its rounds, something here at Baylor. And then you mentioned it, Paul, the new pavilion, and thinking about ways that we do some things that are for the working with the city and for the Waco community, but also making sure that we built that pavilion and are building that pavilion mainly for our basketball programs, and want to make sure that they have access to it when they need to. And we don't ever want that to be a facility where we feel like our basketball programs are leasing it. They are the permanent tenants, and want them to have access to it like they need it. But it'll certainly be a facility that is shared, and one that will have some different events.
You have a football coach in Dave Aranda with Mexican heritage, and I saw the note about a Big 12 Mexico. Is there something, I'm not saying that's because of Dave Aranda, but what is Big 12 Mexico?
Yeah, I think the international market is something that I think the Big 12 has an opportunity to take advantage of, and particularly when we think of football, and the NFL has played in Mexico, and then also basketball, men's and women's, and even soccer, and think that there could be a great connection with Mexico, and certainly exploring that, and think there could be some really good opportunity. What that looks like, still in the process. Is it a regular season game? Is it a bowl game? Is it a basketball tournament? But I think there's more to come, and we're certainly having conversation about all of that.
Mack, the way your program is run, you've got coaches like Scott Drew's deep into analytics. I don't know whether or not Coach Aranda is. Nikki just picked up some transfers, so she's rebuilding her roster. Do you think because of who Scott Drew is and what he's been able to do to kind of change his program more than once allows him to regroup even more now with this transfer portal and NIL era? Is that someone that you would say, I'm going to trust him to make sure we have the right game? I know you trust him, but even so, with what he's done before, even gives you an advantage to handle today's college America?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think Scott has and the staff has been really creative over the years in terms of how you build a roster, how you complete a roster, and we've used highly recruited student athletes. We've had transfers. We've always found a way, and so I think with Scott, he's always going to be creative. He's always going to talk to a lot of different people and seek different ideas, different opinions. I think it starts with the staff, but I think it also goes outside of the Baylor walls, so to speak. And so, I have really, great confidence. We've talked about this, I think, or I believe, when we think about qualities that you want in a head coach, and I've talked about the top 3. Well, one of them is just high intellect. And so that's where I've got great confidence in Scott, and I've got great confidence in Nikki, and I've got great confidence in Dave. They're extremely intelligent people, and and have great common sense as well. And so they're gonna always, figure it out, figure out, a best pathway. And I think they're also, self-aware enough to know that, one pathway, could work this year, and we have to completely potentially change it the next year. And so this idea of being fluid and how you attack every year and in every situation isn't necessarily always the same. And so those are the conversations that I get to have with those three individuals and challenge them. And again, they're really, really smart people, and I'm certainly glad that the three of them are leading those three programs respectively.
When there's a fight in the air, let's say with countries, and it's like a war, and they're called, the fighter pilots are up in the air and the enemy's up in the air, they're called bogeys, right? When someone else gets in their area. Do you feel like if Gonzaga was a bogey on the Big 12 radar and not an enemy, but on the radar, is that radar, that blip, even closer now than it was when that name first came up?
Wow, that's quite an analogy. And,
I'm so bad. Oh God.
I think it's, I think it's probably, in the same place it's always, it has been for a while. I think you're still trying to figure out what's going to happen with some other schools and what that looks like. But Gonzaga, because of what they've done, particularly obviously in men's basketball, is a very, very attractive institution. Certainly because of basketball, but I think also just as an institution, very, very attractive. And I think Big 12, we still have our sights set, in that direction. I don't think we've taken our eyes off, but that doesn't mean anything, is imminent. I think some things still need to play out before we ever make any decisions in terms of membership.
Last question. We know the Pac-12 is still trying to figure out whatever their future might be. What if you have conversations with other ADs at a convention, at the Final Four, at an NCAA, at the Big, wherever it might be, where you are on the boards or the various things you do outside of Baylor? What is considered just sharing information, and what would be considered tampering?
Wow, that's a really intriguing, interesting, insightful question. Look, this is a small industry, meaning that if you've been in it long enough, you've developed a bunch of relationships and have friendships, and so I think some of these conversations are two friends just talking about the future of college athletics, the future of conference realignment and membership, and then sometimes those conversations when appropriate become even more specific about a particular institution and or about a particular conference, etc. And so I think you try to balance that. You certainly try to be respectful and do it the right way. And I feel like the Big 12 has done that. And any conversations that have been had are two-way conversations and not one-way conversations.
Mack, thank you for your time as always. We appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Mack Rhoades, Baylor Director of Athletics at 365 Sports, with us, mostly on